Welcome to Schoolin' Around, a podcast hosted by Branching Minds featuring prominent leaders, subject matter experts, and thought innovators with their perspectives on the current challenges facing K-12 education. I'm your host, Larissa Napolitan, a former teacher, instructional coach, and a member of the Branching Minds team. My hope is to shine a light on phenomenal educators and those that are on a mission to transform our schools and the lives of students. The stretch between Thanksgiving break and winter break feels like a sprint, with barely any time to breathe and an ever-growing to-do list. December is full of fun events, but those long days can leave you eagerly anticipating the slow, quiet mornings of winter break. For now, let's hit pause and take a deep breath together. When was the last time you stopped to really look at what's going right? When was the last time you celebrated a win, whether it was a massive milestone or just a tiny, quiet moment of success? If you're struggling to answer that, you're not alone. In education, we are often so focused on the next problem to solve, the next gap to close, or the next meeting to attend that we forget to look back at how far we've come. Recently, I came across a trend online where a group of friends sets up a camera and each person plants a little flag and a dessert while naming something that they're proud of achieving in 2025. Things like earning a degree, starting a new job, having a baby, or running a marathon. I love this idea. What a simple, meaningful way to celebrate milestones as a group. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the art and science of celebration. We're going to explore why reflecting on our wins is actually a strategic move for our MTSS implementation. And I'm going to give you some concrete examples of what that looks like in practice. And you're going to have a chance to share yours with us to be entered to win a little giveaway. So let's dive in. I want to start with a little reality check. Think about the high-achieving adults you know. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's a colleague. We often set these huge goals for our schools or districts. We want 100% fidelity in Tier 1 instruction, or we want to reduce chronic absenteeism by 10%. And then we work incredibly hard, but often the moment we hit a milestone, we immediately move the goalpost. We say, we did that. Now what's next? Psychologists tell us that skipping over these successes is a recipe for burnout. And let's be honest, burnout is a very real threat in our field right now. There's this great article in Psychology Today that I recently read, and it broke down this idea perfectly. It explained that celebrating wins isn't just fluffy feel-good stuff. It's actually essential brain science. When we recognize a success, our brain releases dopamine. That's our reward chemical. It reinforces the behavior that led to the success and boosts our motivation to keep going. So if we skip the celebration, we're basically training our brains to associate our hard work with endless stress rather than reward. And in the context of MTSS, this is crucial. MTSS is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes years to build a robust system. And if we don't stop to fuel our tanks with celebration along the way, we're going to run out of gas before we reach the finish line. So celebration isn't a distraction from the work. It is the fuel for the work. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but I don't have time for a party every week. And here's where we need to reframe what celebration means. It doesn't always mean balloons and cake, though I'm never going to say no to cake. We need to get better at spotting two types of wins: the small, incremental steps and the big structural milestones. So let's talk about the small wins first. These are the bread and butter of your daily MTSS work. Imagine a student, let's call him Marcus. Marcus has been struggling with reading fluency for 2 years. Your team implemented a specific Tier 2 intervention for 6 weeks. It felt like nothing was moving. But then, on Tuesday, Marcus read a passage and self-corrected 3 times without prompting. That is a massive win. Or think about a teacher on your staff who was initially resistant to using a new progress monitoring tool. It was a battle. But yesterday, you saw them helping a colleague navigating the dashboard. That's a huge cultural win. These moments happen every single day in our buildings. And if we don't pause to name them, they vanish. But if we celebrate them, we solidify the lesson. We tell our brains and our teams, see, the process is working. Then, of course, we have the big wins. These are the ones that usually show up on our end of the year data or quarterly reports. Maybe your school successfully reduced the number of students requiring Tier 3 support by 5% this year. That's incredible. That represents hours of planning, instruction, and care. Or maybe you launched a new universal screener across the entire district, and you had 95% completion in the first window. That's a logistical triumph. These big wins require closure, as noted in resources from the New Leaders blog. Celebrating these milestones gives us a sense of completion. It allows us to close the chapter on that specific effort and say, we did this. It builds a collective sense of efficacy, that belief that we are a team that can do hard things. So we know why we should celebrate and we know what to celebrate, but how do we do it effectively? How do we make it authentic and not just another thing on the to-do list? I want to share a few creative ways to weave celebration into the fabric of your school. And maybe you're already doing them, but here's your reminders. First, let's look at team celebrations. You're likely sitting in data meetings or PLC meetings regularly. Why not start every single one of those meetings with win of the week? It takes 5 minutes. Go around the table. What is one thing that went right with a student or parent or a lesson this week? It immediately changes the energy in the room. You shift from a deficit mindset, looking at what's wrong, to an asset mindset, looking at what's working. Another idea is a wall of wins in the staff lounge or the main office. It can be as simple as sticky notes. When a teacher sees a student's success or sees a colleague doing something great, they stick a note on the wall. It's a visual reminder that good work is happening all around us. Next, let's talk about personalized celebrations. Not everyone likes a public shout out. Some of your staff members might cringe if you praise them in front of the whole faculty. That organization, New Leaders, that I mentioned earlier, shared a story about a principal who asked her staff how they liked to be appreciated. She assumed everyone wanted food, but it turned out many of them just wanted a handwritten note. Never underestimate the power of a handwritten note. I noticed how you handled that situation with Sarah's mom. Your patience made all the difference. Thank you. That note might live in a teacher's desk drawer for 10 years or in a box that teacher pulls out on really hard days, like yours truly. And that is a high impact celebration. Finally, we have to think also about community-focused celebration. MTSS isn't just something that happens inside the school walls. Families and the broader community are partners in this work. And when you hit those big milestones like improving literacy rates or launching a new social emotional curriculum, tell your story. Send a newsletter home specifically dedicated to wins and celebrations. Share the aggregate data. Because of our new reading program, 50 or more students are reading on grade level this spring. When parents see the system is working, they trust the system more. They become stronger partners because they see the return on the investment for their children. And here at Branching Minds, we are supporting schools in doing this by launching the Momentum Awards this fall to recognize those building MTSS progress within the first 90 days of the school year. We received over 100 impressive applications showcasing incredible efforts happening nationwide. This next semester, we're excited to share their stories on the podcast, highlighting their dedication to making a difference for students and their school communities. As we start to wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. I want you to think about your current MTSS work. Maybe you're knee-deep in intervention spreadsheets, or you're planning professional development for next month. I want you to find one win from this week, just one. It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. Maybe a meeting ended on time. Maybe a student smiled at you in the hallway. Maybe you finally organized your data folder. Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I did that, and that was good. Afterwards, I want you to share your thoughts with us through the survey linked in the show notes for a chance to win a special prize. And then I want you to find one person on your team to validate. Send them a text, write them a quick email, or stop by their classroom. Tell them, I see the work you're doing and it matters. Because here's the truth. The systems we build are only as strong as the people who run them. When we celebrate the people, we strengthen the system. So, restore your energy, retool your perspective, and recommit to the joy of this work. Thank you so much for the work you do every single day for students. It is hard work, but it is good work, and it is definitely worth celebrating. Until next time, keep building those systems of support. And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with a colleague who might need a little boost today. And don't forget to enter our end of the year giveaway. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to Schoolin' Around, a podcast hosted by Branching Minds. Go ahead and subscribe to our feed wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, if you are enjoying our content, would you do us a favor and rate and review our podcast on iTunes? This helps others find our podcast and lets us know how much you love what we're creating. Branching Minds is an educational technology company using learning sciences and technology to help districts effectively personalize learning through MTSS. To learn more about us, check out our website, branchingminds.com, or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn @Branching Minds.